are gone from here. Our friends will be drinking our beer.
Preview time, round 27 of the National Rugby League. Danaan GT and Daggy with you to talk about this intriguing round with plenty to play for. We've got the SPOONBOWL to preview, Parramatta and the Tigers at Campbelltown. We've got, I'm just running through here, the Storm are locked in as minor premiers. Penrith, if they win, are second. If Roosters beat the Rabbitohs and Panthers lose, they're second. If Seagulls beat the Sharks, they get a home elimination final in week 1. If the Sharks win and the other results go their way, they can finish anywhere in the top 4, apart from first. Cowboys Bulldogs is for a home elimination final, quite incredibly. The Dolphins Knights play off for 8th place, and if it's a draw, the winner of the Dragons and the Raiders play off for 8th place. So that is all ahead of us. We've talked about all the news, so let's just get into the preview and let's get stuck into the Broncos hosting the Storm from Suncorp. Brisbane essentially moving. Oh, sorry, Tony Staggs is out. So Selwyn Copper goes into centres. Oates comes back onto the wing for what is allegedly his last game for the club. Fletcher Baker is into the front row with no Payne Haas, and Jaden Hunt comes in. So 4 big outs for the Broncos, 10 big ins for the Storm. Katoa, Grant, Howard, Hughes, King, Nelson, Asafa Solomon, Meany, Blore, Luero, Kamakamika, Warbrick, and Coates are all back for the... Coates is named in the extended squad, but some belief he may play. All named for the Storm. Is there any hope here, Danaan, for the Broncos?
It's the only game of the week that doesn't mean anything. I like how they're getting it out of the way at the start of the round. It's one of those games where it's Melbourne by how many? Broncos, I think, showed last week that they're pretty much
back
out
in
of
the
it.
fave at Warwick Farm.
Back in the fave?
Yep.
Fair enough. The line of 15.5, I think Melbourne trounced it, personally.
That's a massive... That's a... Yeah, not a big line. I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it's big enough.
GT?
I'm along for the ride. Melbourne, 13 plus. I can't see the Broncos even putting up a fight at this point of the season. I think they're just 1 foot towards Mad Monday.
I'm calling 50 here. I think they have a great record up at
They
Suncorp
do.
too.
They've got an amazing record.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
50.
I don't like saying 50 because pretty much every time I've said 50 on this podcast...
Someone's got beat.
Well, yeah, pretty much every time I've said 50, the team's ended up near on losing or it's been a nail-biter. So I've stopped saying 50, but, yeah, I'm going to just... Melbourne at $1.90 for minus 15.5, I think is good value.
That's great value.
Carve upcoming. Take your pick. They will rack this up. I know Phelan go for first try scorer.
A double, maybe a hat trick.
A hat trick was on the tip of my tongue before I coughed. And I think Cam Munster tears them up. I think
they
absolutely
just tear
takes
them
a
up in
piss here.
general.
Take your pick across the board. They want to, I think this is a statement game. They love beating up the Bronx, and they would want a 50 score heading into finals. They had their rest. This is now going to be finals time, Melbourne. Unfortunately for Broncos fans.
The Storm have 22 named, and
I think Coates plays here. If he's fit, he plays.
yeah, so
Push Anderson back out.
Yeah.
it'll be well. That's my thing. And to give you an idea of how bad the Broncos are going, they could only name 21.
Yeah.
But that's my biggest thing. Does Coates come back in for Anderson, who has been amazing?
I think they do by default. Should he? I don't know. Only if he's 110% fit.
Yeah,
You wouldn't risk it.
that's what I mean. But
Yeah. Unless they play him on the bench.
and
the thing is, maybe they play him half a game off the bench.
And that's the thing. Like 10 weeks ago, you'd say Coates comes back in, but he comes in for Warbrick. But
Yeah.
Warbrick's
Been fantastic.
he has been very good these
Absolutely
last few weeks. Yeah. So my biggest thing in this is more the fact that how do Melbourne approach the game knowing that it means nothing to them?
Yeah.
So do they actually go full throttle for 80 minutes? Or do they just is it just going to be one of their boring performances where Bellamy's like, I want 95% completion, and they end up only winning by 10 because
and keep it to nil.
and more just keep them to nil, complete at 95, don't care how much is win by. Types. That's why I'm not saying 50.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's along the lines of sort of a 36-12 scoreline by the end of it.
Fair. I'm changing my man match to Harry Grant. Off a freshen up. He might run riot here.
It'll be Hughes because it's always Hughes.
And I'm in Munster.
With a Dally M to play for. Alrighty, then we get the Spoon Bowl. 6 p.m. Campbelltown. Sold out.
I'll take this
the
headset off and
third
let you two
straight
go ragged.
Game. Unfortunately for the Tigers, more injuries with no Caesar is the news today. Latu Fainu, which I'm excited to see. Fainu and Galvin in the halves. Can a 19-year-old halves combination carve up Parramatta? Heath Mason 1, Tupou 2. Josh Felladay into the game, into the team at centre with the injuries around. And Tony Sucker is going to come off the bench, make his first grade debut there. And for Para, they look pretty similar to last week, but they get back Kelma Tuolangi, which pushes Sean Lane back to the front row. All to play for. Top 16 spot on the line, Danaan. How confident are you?
My tip for Parramatta is purely down to one stat and one stat alone. The Tigers in the last 6 years have not won 3 in a row.
Fair enough.
And that is it. That is all I'm going off. It is nothing. It could be 34-36, but if it's 34-36, it means the Eels have scored 9 tries because Gutho can't convert.
Arcee was taking them.
Well, can he convert?
No, that's why Arcee was on 4 for 9 last week.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm purely going off that stat and that stat alone.
Okay. I hate the fact there's another outside back combination here. I think it's like the 30th in. Do you want to watch this race, do you?
No, we can keep going. It's in the lead.
We're on the leader. And now I'm tipping Parramatta just because dreams don't come true for Tigers fans. Parramatta 1-12.
Appy's also got his chance to write history.
What's
as
that?
the first player to win 2 comps in a row, then lose, then get the spoon 2 years in a row.
No one deserves it more than Appy.
If anything, no one deserves it less than Appy. But
This might be a nice horse here that Nathan Doyle's got his
it
hands.
is a very nice horse. But it is with absolutely zero confidence that I'm tipping the Eels. For the sheer fact that it's exactly what they done last week. That they could be up by 30 points with 10 minutes to go, and I will not be confident that they hold on for the win. Just like that horse that I was just on.
Oh,
Fuck.
Who got it, Nash? Zach Wardick. Fucking Ben Osman.
Footy and frothies, ladies and gentlemen. Footies and frothies.
Anyway, what else we got? Yeah, 1-12 Para, man of the match, Appy, and first try scorer Blaze Talangi. Sevo score 3. Sevo score 3. He's going to own Charlie Staines. He's done before, and that'll be the difference. GT?
I'm going to go against the grain and tip Tigers. Don't know why. There's no real logic behind it. It's just going off the vibes. There's just...
Marvo.
I feel like they can't do it again. There's no logical
They actually
reason
playing
behind
good
it.
football
They've-
last month.
Yeah.
The Tigers.
They have.
And if they can keep Para to sort of 24, they might win 13 plus.
Okay.
But I'm going to say 1-12.
If they fielded the same team they fielded against Manly, I'd be more confident. Like I said, a couple of changes, but
The fact they're coming off the bye does think help them.
yeah.
But Caesar not playing, I think, is a big out.
Agree.
Just means more will go through Galvin.
Which it does anyway.
Yeah.
And Latu Fain is could be a freak down the road. Where he ends up, we don't know.
Just means Galvin will touch the ball 100 times instead of 80.
Very interesting game. Which I've paid no attention to because I was watching that stupid horse get beat. All right, Rabbitohs and Roosters from, I assume, Allianz. A call on 8 o'clock Friday. For the Roosters, Dean Hawkins is into halfback. And Cody Walker to 5'8", no White, and Richie Kenner onto the wing for Fletcher Miles. Can't say that excites me. Sander Smith is the new 7. Connor Watson starts at 9. Tupanua starts at 12. White at 13. Spencer into the starting team. Sia Wong, Terrell May, Docker Clay, and De La Salle Va, the back row, who I was just talking to Simo about when I was over there earlier. He's mates with De La Salle's family, so he's off to cheer him on. Any hope for the Rabbitohs, GT?
None whatsoever. It'll be a gap job, and then
Point to prove after last week.
then
surely.
Robbo will start pulling off the stars and giving them a bit of a rest. Teddy might only play 30 minutes, and once they've got a good enough lead, they'll start to ice him, ready for finals.
I don't think it'll be a gap job.
Why? Explain yourself.
Just the simple fact of the injuries. I think they'll be playing conservative just to get through the match. I don't get me wrong. I think they win, and they win comfortably. I just don't think it's going to be the gap job. In terms of they're not going to force the extra pass. They're not going to go that extra 10% on top. They're just going to do the basics. And you know, for the same reason why I said Melbourne won't win by 50, they're in the top 4 no matter what.
Fair enough.
The Panthers, yeah, they're probably going to think the Panthers are going to win. So as long as they get the win, they're versing Penrith week 1 of the finals.
Can you see late restings here?
Yes,
Yep.
and
Can
that's
you
what I
see
mean.
Teddy sitting out?
Yes, and that's what I mean. I
Hey, Swaley's back.
don't even know if he ends up playing.
He's good at footy.
The rugby union convert. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, Daggy.
Nawakatizi.
Yeah,
That's what I was about to ask. If there is resting, who's going to come
You thought
in?
you were going to get me there, wouldn't you?
I just set it up perfectly for it. I knew you'd been practicing.
I'm going to go him man of the match. 8 tries. There you go.
But no, I just due to what happened last week, I can see them just trying to just cruise.
They
And
both thought they had me stitched then, but
No, I knew you'd been practicing. I knew it. I'm not that stupid. Like I can see like a 30 to 10 type score line where they just cruise to the win instead of going full pelt. And like if they're full strength, this would be their, similar to what we said with Melbourne.
give me a sec about answer this one.
Yeah, thanks for that, Daggy, for disrupting the
flow.
the dribble.
The vibe.
That I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, Roosters, but not as big as what I'd think. Pretty sure I mentioned something about the Storm. It's
You did.
yeah, it's one of them games.
Not a gap job.
Not a gap job. It'd be more that defensive type of thing. Try and win to 0, and just have that mentality going into the finals of we don't need Walker because we don't need to score 30-plus points a week to win from here. We can beat you to 0.
Fair enough. Is it my turn?
Yes,
I've
it
already
is.
said
40 to 6 Roosters. And my multi will be Swaley, Manu, Crichton and Tupanua all to score. Those outside backs are disgraceful and they will put on an absolute show here. And if Teddy plays 80, he'll be man of the match because he'll also be involved in all of that. If he doesn't, it'd probably be like Tupanua or someone. The next we've got to get to, I just went back.
Dragons Raiders.
Dragons Raiders from
Netstrata Jubilee.
Nestrata Jubilee is my page reset. Sully in to partner Jack Bird in the centres. King Togia, I got that wrong, at 5'8". Fana on the wing. Ravalawa gets dropped for his big performance last week, costing Danaan his multi. Little returns as well. Fogarty is back for the Raiders, as is Ethan Strange. KO Weeks back to fullback, and obviously no Rapana, no Whitehead, Simasiagi in the back row. What you'd expect here, and again, now we've come off, this potentially is a top 8 playoff, so you'd like to think they're revved up. I, though, think that Raiders might just bash them out of the game again. I doubted them last week on that Roosters game. They've got him up twice in a row. Can they get him up for a third time? I think so, and I think they can muscle them out of this in a shitbag game that they might win 18-16. similar to last week, to be honest, because I don't know if there's much resolve in the Dragons. Man of the match, Fogarty's kicking game will get them home, and first try scorer Hudson Young, GT.
I think this game could be a bit of a clusterfuck that actually turns out to potentially be close to one of the games of the round.
Okay.
I think the Dragons have that sort of X factor unknown about them, where they can put on points, obviously really quickly, as they did against Parramatta. And the Raiders aren't highly touted for their defence, so I think this could end up being a high-scoring game. I've got the Raiders edging them out, but it's purely based on a bit of the grunt that the Dragons seem to be missing. So Ben Hunt will do what he does and keep them in the game. Probably put on 2 or 3 sort of late tries to keep it competitive and sort of one of those oh shit moments like last week. But this could be sort of 36-34 by the end of it.
Okay, you're thinking more points. Okay. Anything else, Dad?
I've gone the opposite.
The Dragons bounce back?
I've got the Dragons bounce back. I don't think the Raiders can do it again. But in a lower scoring game, I don't see. My thinking is the Raiders don't have a lot of points in them, and I think the Dragons would be working on their defence after letting in 40. So it's a tough one because realistically they're both playing for nothing short of a draw in the other game. So it could turn out to be an absolute blowout either side. But I think the fact that it's the home game for the Dragons, most likely their last game of the season for both teams, but the Raiders being up for 2 big matches in a row, I just don't think they're going to have it for a third. And in those 2 matches that they were up, if you just looked at the stats, you'd say that they would have lost both. And I just don't think they can do it 3 weeks in a row. So I'm saying Dragons 1-12 in a low-scoring game.
Okay, cool. Doggies host the Cowboys in as we said, a crucial clash for the top 8 from Accor Stadium. And Stephen Crichton comes back to the centres with Carraz. Sherry gets cops his suspension. And Burton is out from his HIA. Drew Hutchison at 6. Probably not ideal. Thomas McKaylee comes back for Jason Purdue for the Cowboys. At home, at Accor, we've mentioned their record against top 8 teams. Does that give you cause for concern for the Dogs?
I'm tipping the Cowboys.
Tell us.
Burton not playing is a big part of that.
It is a big loss.
Yeah. If Burton's playing, it's probably it's a tougher decision. But we've been saying at all start of the season that Drew had to go, and now he's back. I'd only be going against my own word if I tipped them here because of the simple fact that Hutchison's back.
Does Jake Clifford's kicking game make the difference? I'm trying to work out because at the end of the day, this is all sort of running halves and no Burton.
I just think the lack of direction that they're going to have with Drew back in the side and the fact that they're going to be missing Burton's kicking game. Crichton back is a massive in for their outside backs.
Absolutely.
But outside backs are, predominantly only good when your forwards are doing what they need to do. And the injury to Kurt Mann, I think, might be a bit understated after what happened last week.
I'm going to go with the Dogs at home and less confidence, but I just don't rate the Cowboys' defence, and I think at the end of the day, the defence will hold up for the Dogs. I'm going to go with Stephen Crichton playing a captain's knock here, scoring the first try. Connor Tracy with no Matt Burton. I think Connor Tracy fills the Matt Burton role. I think he takes on a lot of that sort of second receiver, sweeping play stuff, and he gets involved, and he will be man of the match. I just can't get too excited about the Cowboys, and maybe I'm underrating him, but probably Jake Clifford does have the best kicking game on the field right now. Looking at this lineup, but anything else, GT?
If you're underrating him, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to have to disagree with Danaan again. I think sort of in the battle of the backlines, less sort of Valentine Holmes, I think the Dogs got the edge in that. Tracy seems to have been in a bit better form than Drinkwater of late. He's dropped off quite a bit. Then when you got Crichton back, I think the Dogs will have that bounce back factor. They would have been incredibly disappointed with the performance last week, especially when they started so well. I'm sort of leaning damn near the 13 plus, actually.
Yep.
Their defence has been their strong suit all year. They've been one of the better defensive sides, if not the best. And I think they can really hold the Cowboys out.
Beautiful, which sets them up for 5th spot, I believe. Panthers, Titans, Penrith Park at... Why is it Penrith Park now, not Bluebet? Anyway, I think it's because they're about to be knocked down.
Yeah, they probably cancelled the sponsorship.
True. Scott Sorensen comes back in for Garner to the bench, and Kiakini's back after last week. No Fafita, Clear Sass in the starting side. 13 plus Penrith. Man of the match Luai, another 4 or 5 try assists, and first try scorer. Let's go with Soso to score first. Lovely short ball, bit of footwork, and scoring on the edge.
If there's going to be a 50-point margin this week, this is the game.
Yeah.
I don't give... if it wasn't for the fact of Cam Pereira, I don't see the Titans scoring more than 3 tries.
Yep.
Like, he just... The bloke's amazing and can finish... Well, he just makes something out of nothing. So, if the Titans were to score 3, he scores 2 of them. But, yeah, I think you're right. Panthers will score, 8, 9, 10, if they want to?
Yes.
No David Fafita for the Titans. That's one of their major X factors. The source
I
of
don't even
impotence.
think that's a great loss at this point. He's had a shocking season.
But when he
He's
does
not
one
done his
thing, he
own
does it
luck.
really well.
Definitely.
been a
He's
man,
just...
So
yeah.
that would have taken probably a 30, 36 point to that's adding another try or 2 on top of that. So this will be Penrith by how many? Throw a cricket score up there and that could be close.
Yeah. We'll get to Sunday then, 2 o'clock. Seagulls hosting the Sharks at 4 Pines. Kohler goes to fullback with no Turbo. Clayton Falalo comes on the wing for Jason Saab, and Burbo comes back into the bench. Ramian and Mulatalo come back. Atkinson goes to the bench. Stone Street to the reserves. Rough for him. Also, Hamanueli at the bench with Nico at 7 and Trindle at 6. GT, how you feeling?
Nervous. Very nervous. As I said in the review, both teams' worst is absolutely deplorable.
Yeah.
So if the Sharks turn up ready for finals footy, they could put a gap job on Manly. If they don't, it could be flipped. There's no way of knowing before the game. I'm hopeful, but I'm worried. This could be 13 plus either way. It could be 1 to 12. It could be Golden Point. There's no way of telling which of the 2 teams are going to turn up.
I'm tipping Seagulls at home against the Sharks, and my concern is the backup, that they haven't produced the same stuff 2 weeks in a row. If they produced last week, they'll beat the Sharks. And go Luke Brooks man of the match and go first try scorer, old mate Hopewadi out in the wing there. But I think this is a high-scoring game. I think it's 28-26, if not more. If Sharks don't get the job done there, I agree with you that it's going to be straight sets. Don't you?
Yeah, I think this is the hardest game to tip
It's
the round.
It's the game of the
Yeah.
round. It is the game round.
And I feel like...
And they match up so well. If Tommy's here, I'd almost declare Manly.
Yeah, and it's
to
the fact...
say.
It's the injuries that are making me potentially tip the Sharks. I am going to go Manly because it's at home, and I'm going to go a small margin. But I feel like if it's a big margin, it will be the Sharks. Like, if you told me a side's going to win 1 to 12, I'm going to say Manly. But if it's 13 plus, I'm going to say it's the Sharks that have blown them off the field. I don't have the confidence that Manly's going to win 13 plus. But if it's a close game, I couldn't imagine it being the Sharks' way. It's one of those ways.
Yeah.
It really is a flip of the coin. It's like Manly 1 to 12 or Sharks 13 plus. It's not either of the other two.
I need this horse to get the split here. Go on, Jimmy. Get it through. Get it. Come on, Jimmy.
Jimmy,
God, tell me this is the bet you're going to get up the
Come on, Orman.
Tell us
So
about.
Come on, Orman. Fucking get Oh, sorry, we're back.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah,
What?
that was
Yeah,
helpful.
The 5?
The 2 you've
Yeah.
given us
It
have been
was
rat shit.
I was looking at the 5 too, and I didn't do it.
Jimmy Orman can ride up there.
Anyway,
Anyway,
but,
check
yeah.
out, show us your tips. The YouTube channel's up. Beaver and I tipped plenty of winners, including last week Quintessa as in a complete and utter moral. God, it was good.
But yeah, so Manly 1 to 12. Yeah, low. You know, I'm still 50-50 on this. I just
Yeah,
I'll
I
stick to I'll stick to Manly 1 to 12.
To finish mine off, I'm going Cronulla 1 to 12. Britton Nakora, first try. And just purely out of hope, Nico man of the match.
What? Yeah, as I said, what do you want to see out of Nico this week?
Not dropping his head. I want to see him involved. Actually sort of thinking about things, and when things go wrong, forget about it. It's in the past. You can't do anything about it.
Does him turning
Focus
up,
on the next play.
being out kicked by DCE at home, all of a sudden head fuck him for what's ahead? Or
Like, he's not focused on his kicking. It's his ball playing that.
I think Trendall takes a lot of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just needs to play eyes up footy and see what he can see.
Whew. Anyway, Knights and Dolphins for the top for the 8th place playoff on paper, which is incredible for the Knights. For them, Tyson Frizzell's back, Tyson Gamble's back, and Will Price and Thomas Cant will drop off the bench. Kai Pispall on the bench. You see his gash? You would have, I sent it.
Yeah, that's pretty
It
nasty.
did look like a sausage roll. The Jesse Bromwich is back. Can't believe all the names are fuck up. Jesse Bromwich is back.
Bromwich?
And Nicarima. So the professor goes back to the bench. You could tell to the reserves. Cracking game here. Can Newcastle do it at home, Danaan?
I've gone Dolphins.
Tell us why.
I want the Dolphins to make the finals. That's purely that's all it is. Yeah, if you're putting money on it, it's probably is Newcastle. But I'm tipping the Dolphins to cause the upsets and Wayne Bennett to get them in to the finals. I don't know how this one goes, to be honest. My biggest thing will be the Knights were able to do it last year. They were able to do that rescue, so they've done this before,
Yeah.
and they've been able to sneak in.
But that's when they're flying.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're flying.
They're not flying this year, but the mentality do the Dolphins, and this is something that we've been going on about for a bit. The Dolphins have looked tired. They've looked like their best is definitely behind them for this season. So no matter who wins this, they're getting beat first week of the finals. But will the Dolphins be up to beat? Is this 17 going to stand up enough to say we are going to be the first Dolphin side to make the finals?
I think so.
I hope so.
And I'm a bit fairy-tailed up, but
Yeah,
let's go.
And that's purely what it is.
I loved Herbie Hammer, the combination of Herbie Hammer and Avarillo second receiver last week. I think there's points to be had here, and I think they can score another 28-30 again, and that will be enough to beat the Knights. Because ultimately they've been quite resolute in defence. A lot, they don't get beat by lots.
Most of the time, no.
Most of the time. So I'll go that way. I'm going to go Herbie man of the match. Him and Gay Guy, great clash there. Gay Guy best and Hammer and Farnworth clash of the round almost. Herbie man of the match, first try scorer, Bostock. 1 to 12.
You're talking fairy tales. Somebody did, in fact, tip the Dolphins to win the premiership in the bold prediction show. So I'm going to have to double down on that and say they're going to win.
No, that'll be
Big-
quite the fucking fairy tale.
Yeah, right.
Ali made that prediction. She also said that Bennett was going to sail off into the sunset, but I think that dude will coach until the day he dies. But I've got to back that up and say the Dolphins are going to win 1 to 12, and I think Hammer's going to have a field day on the wing.
Hope so.
So I'm going to say him for first try scorer and Avarillo for man of the match.
Very good. What's got you frothing, GT?
The fact that this weekend could be absolutely anything. The ladder is so up in the air. There's 4 teams that can mathematically make the 8. Every game, pre the first one, they all mean something. I'll be watching all of them.
Pretty excited, actually. This is a great round of footy. Looking forward to all of it.
That fact, the fact that the way the draw just has perfectly panned out this year, that Thursday night means absolutely jack shit, and then from the Spoon Bowl Friday 6 p.m. everything means something.
Yeah, that 2 o'clock Sunday game is
Yep.
superb viewing, and if we're not up here for Spoon Bowl, maybe I'll come down for that instead, Gregory. How do I,
We'll
if
be
I
up
keep winning
here for
today, I
Spoon
might do
Bowl.
both. I'll think about it.
And the fact that the Dragons Raiders game really they've got to be playing for something, because that the Dolphins Knights game that could end up in a draw.
Yes. Imagine if that happens. Like
That's what I
rugby league
mean.
chaos
Like
gets me excited.
it's not one of them games where one of the teams is like $1.20 favourite.
No.
It's one of those games where it's like, the Knights probably should win, but do they win? How well do the Dolphins go? Like, which really brings in that other. Like, imagine the story that if the Dragons or Raiders win that game and make the finals,
Yeah.
because there's a draw in the other game. What's the chance it now goes to Golden Point, just to keep the Dragons or whoever the winning side of that on the edge of their seat for an extra 10 minutes?
Something like that.
It probably will. I'm going, stuff it, changing the tip. It's a draw after 80.
Okay.
Just for, like, imagine you're a Dragons or Raiders fan on the edge of your seat and it's going to Golden Point.
Yeah.
I'm sure they exist somewhere.
Cracker.
Imagine
Dragons and Raiders fans. Yeah.
Imagine poor Dino. Dino would be,
It's a rip around.
What they can install rails on the roof at the Gums?
I'm not allowed to have shoelaces. That's why we're thongs.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed in here in shoelaces. All right, let's go home. Let's go and do some other stuff and have a bet and check out Show Us Your Tips as we head into spring. It's been absolutely flying, as I mentioned. Let's get something to eat because I'm starving. We'll be back next week to talk about that. We've got Daggy Awards coming up. No pressure on you. And we're going to preview the first round of the finals. Thank you, guys. Check us out on all socials as well as Spotify and YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Bye.